Hi, I'm Al Bangert. Welcome back to the Science Spectacular at the Scituate Junior High School this year. I'm Al Bangert, and I'm here with veteran interviewer Mike Davis.
It must be me. Well, thank you, Al. It seems like this one rolled around pretty quick. It came upon us, and last year was so much fun. And prior years, we've just had a blast with the kids and talking to them and hearing what they had for their projects.
Yeah,
Hopefully this year we'll have another one and a new venue.
The kids are really special here, aren't they, Mike? I mean, they just have so much enthusiasm for the projects and so wanting to talk about them to the audience, our vast viewing audience that's out there. So, folks, we're going to go around and find a few kids to talk to and find out what kind of science, math projects they're working on. So here we go.
Hi.
Hi.
What's your first name and what school are you from?
Will, and I'm from Cushing School.
From the Cushing School here in Scituate. And want to tell me a little bit about your project?
Okay, so these right here are all different foods, and this over here is a little 9-volt battery, and it's powering this LED light. This is also an LED light, and all these fruits connected is only enough to power that little light right there, so not very much. And this here is a citrus fruit, and this is starch. So if I turn my little meter on here, it's reading, let's see, 1 volt, 0.5 volts, and then this starch is reading, oh wait, not getting anything, up 1.1 volts, so.
Nothing from a potato, huh?
Only 0.1 volts, so
0.1
yeah,
volt?
basically
Okay.
nothing.
And so when you did this, what was your goal in this project? To see the different fruits and what they would produce for electricity?
Yes.
Okay. And what was your conclusion?
My conclusion was where did I put that?
I think it's right here.
Oh yeah, right here. Citrus fruits contain citrus acid, and citrus acid allows some kind of electric current to conduct inside of it. Starch fruits don't produce as much, and still, all of these only produces that much light.
Just a little tiny bit, huh?
Yep.
Just a little tiny bit. And did anybody help you with your project this time?
Yes, my mom and dad did.
Want to say thanks to them?
Yes, thank
Look
you.
right up at the camera and say thanks, Mom and Dad.
Thank you, Mom and Dad.
Okay, well, thank you. You take care of yourself.
You too.
Okay, thank you. And my name is Mike. Your name is?
Hadley.
And what school are you in?
Wampatuck.
Wampatuck School, okay. And what about your project?
What we did is we demonstrated how sinkholes are made by using sugar and water and sand. And what we did is we put sand around these tubes that had sugar in them, and then we took out the tubes, and then we put sand on top, and then we poured the water in, creating these sinkholes. And what happens is the acidic water wears away at limestone for 100 years or so, maybe thousands of millions. And then the limestone eventually, there's this cavity under it, and in at least another few months, the weight becomes a little too much, and it collapses, creating a sinkhole.
Okay, wow. And how long did it take you to put your project together?
At least a week or so.
A week, and did you have some help?
My mom helped me.
And you want to say thanks to Mom and to the camera?
Thank you, Mom.
Okay, well, thank you. You take care. Have a good evening. Hi, my name's Mike, and your name?
Emmy. Leona.
And what school are you from?
Wampatuck. Wampatuck.
Both of you are from Wampatuck. A team, hey?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to tell us a little bit about your project?
Sure. These are pea shoots, and these ones were grown in the light. These were grown in the dark, and these were grown in the light. And they only took half a month to grow. And the reason these ones are longer is because they were reaching up for the light. So they're longer than the ones that were grown in the light.
And we thought that our hypothesis was that these were going to take longer to grow and these would take shorter to grow. But actually it was the opposite. These by 4 days of growing, these were longer and these were shorter. And if you look, you can actually see this seeds that we planted. And
Yeah, and also these ones have smaller leaves than those ones.
we have a comparing chart of what's different and what's alike. And then these ones actually use photosynthesis, but these really didn't have photosynthesis because light is the number one factor that plants use to grow. But these ones actually had the light, so that's why they're more green and stuff, alive, I guess you could say. And these are yellow because they didn't have the light and energy to grow. So, but some plants, we figured out that some plants could actually grow in the light. In the dark, because we thought that plants couldn't grow in the dark because you needed light, but apparently these could. But not all plants.
So yeah, that's our project.
Well, thank you so much. And do you have anybody you'd like to thank for helping you with your project?
Our dad came up with my dad came up with the idea, because he's a gardener, so he was like, you guys should do this, and then he gave us all the stuff we needed, and then we planted them.
Also, our science teacher helped us too because we're learning about photosynthesis.
It's a long word, isn't it? You want to say thanks to both of them? Look up on the camera and say thanks to both of them.
Thank you.
Thanks, kids.
Colin.
And what school are you in?
Wampatuck.
Wampatuck School. Okay, you want to tell us a little bit about your project?
So I built homemade robots. I built a tin can and bristle bots. So you just turn on the switch of this and it just moves across. And these, you just put the wire on this little battery and it moves around. It doesn't know where it's going, and this is a dash. It's a type of robot that can be programmed by this app. Wait, look. Turn it on. And so you connect it to an app called Go, and you can move the head around, you can change its eyes, you can make sounds.
So it'll do all sorts of things, eh?
Yeah. And you can change its colors.
And do you have anybody that helped you with your project?
My dad helped me with my project.
And you learned a lot by doing this?
Yes.
That's excellent. You want to say thanks to Dad?
Thanks. Thank you, Dad.
Thank you. My name's Mike, and your name is?
Marek.
And what school are you from, Marek?
I'm from Cushing.
Cushing School here in Scituate. And you're a Red Sox fan, and they're playing today, you know.
Yeah, I know that.
You want to tell us a little bit about your project?
Of course. So this is a saltwater powered robot. It feeds off salt water so it can move. If you give it a little spin, it'll work some. But you have to add more salt water, of course. So how it works is there's magnesium, copper, carbon, and salt water. When they mix, it makes a battery. And then when the magnesium mixes with oxygen, it makes magnesium oxide. And then when you put salt water on that, it makes a chain reaction, a chemical reaction that makes electrons, and then the copper conducts it down these wires to the motor, making the motor spin, and then this little axle gets spun, and then it moves.
Okay, and I see over here that you also had one that ran on solar, is that right?
Yep. So how that works is some photons from the sun go down to the solar panel, creates electrons which go down the wire. It goes to the motor, which interacts with the gears to the legs, which makes the legs move in a walking formation.
Wow. And did you have anybody help you with your project?
Well, my dad did.
Your dad helped you? You want to thank Dad? We'll look in the camera and thank Dad.
Thanks, Dad.
My name is Mike, and your first name?
Abby,
And what school are you in, Abby?
Wampatuck.
Okay, Wampatuck School here in Scituate. And tell us a little bit about your project.
So my question was, what food makes the most gas? And my hypothesis, or what I thought was going to happen, was either the bread or potatoes was going to get bigger and have more gas. To do my experiment, I picked 6 different foods, and I made sure they each weighed the same amount. And then I put them in, and I blended them up with water, and I put them each in their own water bottle, and then I put a balloon on top, and then I let them sit so the balloon could fill up with gas. And energy is very important because it gives us electricity and heat. And energy comes from fossil fuels, which is when the dinosaurs died and all the plants got trapped in the dirt and rotted and turned into gas. And so what I did was a lot like that, because I trapped the food in a water bottle, and they rotted and turned into gas. And my results didn't end up as I thought, because the onion got bigger. And as I thought, the bread got in the top 2, and so now I'm just wondering why the apple didn't grow at all, because it has more sugar than an onion, and sugar's energy, which makes the gas.
Okay, so then the balloons would show how much gas was produced, so that was the most and this was the least?
Yes.
Okay, well, very good. Do you have anybody you'd like to thank that helped you with your project?
My dad.
Your dad? You want to wave at Dad and thank him?
Thank you.
Thank you. Your name?
Zeke.
You're Zeke? And
Yeah.
what school are you in, Zeke?
Hatherley.
You're in the Hatherley School. You want to tell us a little bit about your project?
I tested backyard chicken eggs and store-bought chicken eggs to see if which one's stronger. I thought that store-bought chicken eggs would be stronger, but I was wrong. Backyard chickens are actually stronger because they get more sunlight, but backyard chickens' eggs get a lot more sunlight than store-bought chicken eggs. When I discovered that because I saw pictures of them on my mom's computer, and I saw that they don't get that much sunlight. They're crowded in little cages. I tested them, and I put a 16 triangle on a piece of paper. Then I put the eggshells on them. Then I put books on them. I put 4 eggshells on the store-bought chicken eggs, and then it broke. Then I put 5 books on this backyard chicken eggs. Then it broke. I found out that backyard chicken eggs are stronger eggshells.
And you said that's because of sunlight?
Yes.
That's great. Do you have anybody that helped you with your project?
My mom.
You want to say thanks to Mom? We'll in the camera. We'll thank her.
Thanks to Mom.
My name's Mike, and your first name?
Fiona.
And your first name?
Lily.
And what school are you in?
Wampatuck. We're both at Wampatuck.
A team again, another team. Well, that's good. You want to tell us a little bit about your project?
Well, it's on how humans impact marine life, and we did an example right here about, and this is the ocean, and it's being polluted, and all the examples of, like, fish can get caught in here and suffocate and die, and like over here, and algae so when boats cause like oil to get in the ocean, and that can cause algae blooms to block the sunlight from fish, so it gets cold and they can die. And we did this poster, and we did this kind of just to represent what's in the fish tank. And down here, we found these in streets also. And up here is examples of rising sea levels. And this happens when carbon dioxide gets into the atmosphere, and it insulates the atmosphere, so glaciers are melting, and it acts like an ice cube in a glass of water. So it's causing water to rise more often. And this is our neighborhood and all the flooding. And this is after a storm happened.
The storm we just had?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, the 2nd of March. The 2nd of March, I believe it was. Because I live on 10th Ave, so I'm nearby it also. So, who helped you with your project?
Well, both of our parents, yeah.
You want to give a shout out to all of them?
Yeah.
To thank them?
My dad helped me come up with the idea, and my mom helped me get like a lot of organizing done.
Well, we can give them a shout out on TV. Thank you.
Thanks, Mom.
My name is Mike, and your name is?
William.
And what school are you in, William?
Inlay School.
At the Inlay School. Okay, good. Well, welcome down here. You're up on Route 123?
Yes.
Okay. You want to tell us a little bit about your project?
Sure. This is a biomimicry project about how human nature has mimicked the science of the humpback whale. There are these little bumps here on the humpback whale's flipper. They are called tubercles. What they do is they reduce drag for the humpback whale, and they make the humpback whale go faster. They help the humpback whale swim. And so scientists tried this on a wind turbine, and the result was they reduced drag in the wind turbine by 32%, helping it spin faster than it did when with and without the tubercles. They tested it, and the with tubercles went a lot faster than without tubercles. So they're currently trying this on different things such as plane propellers and boat propellers. They're getting the same result. So and so biomimicry is what it really is. Taking the body of the humpback whale and using it as like a machine, basically. That's pretty much what I have.
Well, thank you. And who helped you with your project? Oh, you want me to look at this? Okay.
This is a little thing to demonstrate. Here, I have tubercles on this, so it's when I turn the on switch on, it'll spin, and now if I have one of these that didn't have these little bumps, these tubercles along the side, it would have got if I had them on for the exact same amount of time, this one would go faster than the one without the little bumps, the tubercles. That's so, and they're using this for literal tests on planes, boats, and wind turbines. So that's what I have.
Excellent. And did anybody help you with your project?
Yeah, I did my project in school with my teachers, and I went into like a little technology lab to help with put on a motor for the this. So yeah, my teachers helped me with it, and part of it I did myself.
Well, you did a great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You take care. Enjoy the rest of the day. So, my name's Mike, and your name is?
Claire.
And what school are you in, Claire?
Gates.
In the Gates School. Oh boy, that's like here now, right?
So these.
Oh yeah. Just tell us a little bit about what you're gonna be doing.
These are all the body systems we learned in 6th grade, and they're in order. So there's the digestive system, the nervous system, the excretory system, the circulatory system, the respiratory system, and the muscular system.
Well, okay, and then we're going to move on and get a presentation over here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, and Patrick, you're going to talk about what?
I'm going to talk about the excretory system.
Okay.
So it's the excretory system. Hold on. All right. So the main function of the excretory system is to eliminate waste such as urea and excess water from the body. So, quick summary of vocab for the excretory system. So, the kidney. There are two bean-shaped organs that extract waste from the blood and produce urine. Lungs. So, a lung is an internal organ that makes it possible for you to breathe. Urethra. The tube that leads from the bladder and transports and discharges urine outside the body. Urea. Occurring in urine and other body fluids as a product of protein metabolism. Urine, the fluid produced by the kidneys consisting of water and dissolved substances that is stored in the bladder and discharged through the urethra. The liver / the process of nutrients from food to produce nutrients. Nephrons, they are tiny factories in kidneys that remove waste from the blood and makes urine. So the process of removing waste. First, the kidneys filter out all the waste such as glucose, urea, or excess water, and needed materials from the blood. Then, much of the needed materials are filtered back into the blood. Next, the urea and waste go through a tube called ureters. From there, they go to the bladder. Then, once the bladder fills up halfway, your brain tells you that you have to use the restroom. Then your bladder starts to empty and waste is removed from the body. The kidney. So it is a major organ of the excretory system. It filters waste from the blood and turns it into urine. It has nephrons, which are tiny factories in the kidneys that help maintain homeostasis. The lungs. The lungs are an internal organ that makes it possible to breathe. You have two of them, and when you breathe, carbon dioxide or CO2 comes out of your mouth. Is pinkish white and is protected by a rib cage. The liver / skin. The liver is the largest organ in your body. The liver is a large meaty organ that sits on the right of the belly. Weighing about 3 pounds, the liver is a reddish-brown in color and feels rubbery to the touch. Then also, normally you can't feel the liver, but it's because it is protected by a rib cage. It produces proteins and breaks down old blood cells. Skin removes salt and sweat from the body. I don't think we have time for that, but.
Okay. Well, so you learned all of this in 6th grade?
Yeah. And there are also some diseases you can get if you don't treat your excretory system. You can get kidney disease, urinary tract infection, bladder cancer, kidney stone, uremia, renal cell carcinoma, and diabetes. Fun facts. Every human has 2 kidneys, but you can get one removed for a reason such as a kidney stone. The average person urinates about 3,000 times a year, and the liver is about 3 pounds in an average human.
You want to tell us a little bit about this person?
So its name is actually Jimmy, but you can see that its circulatory system. So he's here to show us about circulatory system.
So the red represents one thing and the blue represents something else, I bet.
They're both blood, but the red is oxygen-rich blood and the blue is oxygen-poor blood.
Okay, so, and it goes from where to where? How does that work?
All the way from your head to your toes.
And the heart does what? That goes to heart and lungs, I think?
The heart, it will pump blood and that will go all over your body. So that's like what the red looks like.
Okay.
Trace it once for us. Trace what happens with the blood.
Okay,
Yep.
so it starts out from the heart, and then you can see it comes out, and there's different kinds, so it's in your fingers, and then it goes around. It goes through your arms, and then these are the 2 main big And then it goes down through your legs and your feet, and then they usually cross each other.
Wow. And then the lungs actually put oxygen back into the blood, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this is Jimmy.
Yes.
That's his name? You gave him a name?
Yeah, you can see down here.
Oh, yeah, there he is, Jimmy. It is Jimmy. Well, thank you, Jimmy, and thank you, Claire. Take care. And who do you want to thank for your project? Anybody at home or anybody in school?
Well, there were not only me, but my other group members, which are Claire, Jodka, Dark Tossler, and Marek down there.
Oh, okay, their names are down there. So you have 2 Claires and a Jack and a Meyer.
Yeah, we all did this together.
Well, thank you all. Take care.
So this is The Nervous System by
Emily Quinn
Annalie Sturdy.
and McKenna Berard.
Okay. This was just for when we presented it to our class. So we're going to learn about the nervous system. We're going to do a video, but we won't watch the video. And then an activity, and yeah.
Vocabulary. There's a lot on the screen right now, but we're only going to go over the key parts. The brain is part of the central nervous system that is located in the skull and controls most functions in the body. The peripheral nervous system is the division of the nervous system consisting of all the nerves located outside the central nervous system. The central nervous system is the division of the nervous system consisting of the brain and spinal cord.
And then this is some more vocab. Should I do any of these? Okay, so an axon is an extension from a nerve cell that carries impulses away from a nerve cell. A dendrite is an extension from a nerve cell that carries impulses towards the nerve cell. A neuron is a cell that carries information through a system. A nerve impulse is a message that a nerve cell carries, and a synapse is a junction where one neuron can transfer an impulse to another structure.
The function of the nervous system. The nervous system consists of the brain, the spinal cord, sensory organs, and nerves. And the nerves connect organs with the rest of the body. And the organs are responsible for the control of the body and communication among parts. The 3 main jobs of the nervous system. It receives information, responds to information, and maintains homeostasis.
How does the nervous system maintain homeostasis? It directs the body to respond to information that it receives.
What is a sensory neuron? A sensory neuron picks up stimuli from internal or external environments. It converts each stimulus into a nerve impulse. What does an interneuron do? An interneuron carries nerve impulses. And then this is a video. Oh, okay.
So, somatic and autonomic actions. So, voluntary actions are somatic, and involuntary actions are autonomic. So, petting your dog is an example of a voluntary action, but your heart beating happens on its own, so it's involuntary. Correct.
Notes on the nerves. A response is what your body does in reaction to a stimulus. A bundle of nerve fibers is called a nerve. The message that a neuron carries is called a nerve impulse.
The spinal cord and depth. So the spinal cord resembles a thick cream-colored rope made of nerves that relay messages between the brain and the rest of the body. It stretches from the base of the brain to the lower back and is housed in a tunnel made by vertebrae or bones of the spinal column.
Sensory organs and nerves in depth. There are 5 sense organs in the human beings: the eyes, ears, tongue, skin, and nose, and they help protect the body. And sense organs contain receptors that relay information through sensory neurons to the appropriate places. And nerves are bundles of axons in the peripheral nervous system that act as information highways to carry signals between the brain or spinal cord and the rest of the body.
Motor neurons and brain in depth. Motor neurons. A motor neuron is a neuron whose cell body is located in the spinal cord and fiber projects outside the spinal cord to directly or indirectly control effector organs, mainly muscles or glands. Brain. Physiological task is receiving information of the body, interpreting information, and guiding the body's response. It helps perform visual and mental operations like breathing and maintaining blood pressure.
Okay, so this is an activity.
So basically, you make a straight line holding hands, and so each student will hold hands, and then so the student with the timer will say go and start the timer and squeeze the next person's hand. The second student will squeeze the third person's hand, and so on. When the person who has the bell in his or her hand is reached, they will ring the bell and the first person will stop the timer. The point of this activity is to symbolize the neuron working its way to the brain through nerves. And it's normal if you don't get it right, like the first or second time.
Thank you very much.
Your name is?
I'm Mimi Minnick.
Okay, Mimi, and what school are you in?
Gates.
You're in the Gate School, here?
Yeah.
Okay, so you didn't have to go too far for this. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your project and maybe explain it? Your name?
Evan.
Hey, you can explain it to Evan and Mike.
Okay. It was a study on aerodynamics. So we made a bunch of Pinewood derby cars from like Boy Scout model thingies, and then we stole one of the Boy Scouts Pinewood derby tracks to test out which went the fastest. And it's always this one. And we have a couple of theories why, and it may be because the weight is in majority of the weight is in the back. So that makes it so there's more potential energy and ability to move the car faster when you pull down the pegs. It also could be because it has like a smaller front, so air doesn't have to push as hard to move away from it, and the back kind of tapers off so that there's less pull on it.
Okay, I think I built one of those a long time ago for my son. Or he built it, excuse me. You caught me. So are we going to let him go and see what happens?
Sure.
She's going to make it go, and why don't you guys go down there and watch, see how they go. See who yell out who the winner is, okay?
There we go. Wrong direction.
Well, that's very good. 2413. Hi, my name's Mike with Scituate Community Television, and your name?
I'm Brody.
You're Brody, and what school are you in, Brody?
I go here.
You go here at the Gate School? And how about yourself?
I'm Kyle Norton.
And you're here also at this school? Yeah. You're a team?
Yeah.
And I notice you have a blue ribbon. What does that mean?
I'm not really sure.
Well, blue ribbons are good, so it must be something really good. You want to tell us a little bit about your project?
Yeah, so it's about the Carboniferous Period. It's in the Paleozoic era. And, yeah, there are lots of big insects and trilobites. So, yeah, and it's a presentation about it.
Okay, and do you have anything to add?
A trilobite is basically just like a huge centipede.
A huge centipede, okay. I'll try not to run into one. So are you going to show us a slideshow?
Yes. Here's our bibliography slide that we use to get all this information. The Carboniferous Period. The time frame was from 360 to 286 MYA, which means millions of years ago. The length of this period was 74 million years.
What did it look like? During this time period, the surface was covered with tons of plants such as equisetails, saphenophyllales, lysopodidales, lepidopterales, filicales, metadulcales, and cordyceps. Earth's surface also had vast, warm, and swampy forests. Those swampy forests produced coal, which produced carbon. That is where they got the name Carboniferous.
Earth's climate. Early in the Carboniferous period, Earth's climate was warm. Later, glaciers formed at the poles, while equatorial regions were often warm and humid. Towards the end of this period, the climate cooled down, which then made Earth's climate become similar to today's, shifting between glacial and interglacial periods.
What were the dominant living organisms? Shallow, warm marine waters often flooded the continents. Attached filter feeders, such as bryozoans, particularly phenescelids, were abundant in this environment, and sea floor was dominated by brachiopods. Trilobites were increasingly scarce, while the formifiers were abundant.
What was the environment like compared to the present? It had a more uniform, tropical, and humid climate throughout the year that exists today. The Carboniferous period is known for having the highest atmospheric oxygen levels the Earth has ever experienced.
What was a major geologic event? One of the major geologic events that happened during the Carboniferous period was the unconformity due to the restrictions of oceans to the margins of the continents and the fluctuating sea levels.
Just saying that all basically means beach erosion. Slim down the rocks. Here's a Carboniferous period commercial that we made, but you can't really hear it that well. And the end.
The end.
Well, thank you so much.
Dory Reed. I'm a 6th grade science teacher here at Gates, and this is our classroom. And what we have here is some evidence that we went out today to collect from our Vernal Pool site here at the front of Gates, and I have a grant from the Scituate Education Foundation to bring in educators to work with the students, and we took some samples today, and what's really exciting about these samples is they are great evidence for something, and I'm going to turn it over to Eddie and Carolina, who can share what that evidence meant and what we saw. Do you remember? One specific species that we found in our pool today. So.
And you're Carolina?
Yeah, I'm Carolina, and then this is Eddie.
I'm Eddie O'Donnell.
And today, to certify a vernal pool, you have to find a certain type of species to make sure that that species is dependent on the vernal pool, and Eddie knows more about that.
So the fairy shrimp is the species in the water that's moving around, and it lays its eggs in the vernal pool and pretty much lives in the vernal pool. So that is why the vernal pool is so important to that species. And in the vernal pool, there are no fish, so it doesn't need to worry about fish eating its eggs or things like that. So vernal pools don't support fish life. So.
Do they support frogs and things like that?
Yeah, so frogs, some frogs lay their eggs while the vernal pool is dry. And then once it fills up with water, the eggs hatch, and they become tadpoles and then evolve into frogs that we see every day.
So this screen behind me is actually the microscope being projected on that screen? No.
No. There is a little over there. There is like a camera, like a live camera, and under there's one of those little pools that has samples, and it just shows like a live action of what the samples are doing.
So are those what is that right there?
That is caddisfly. It's a species that makes itself a little like cocoon that so predators can't get to them. But it's kind of cool because they take little pieces of not trees, but like wood from the vernal pool and break it up and like glue it on themselves so it sticks and it blends in and it looks like a little just like leaf or something.
Okay, so it's a camouflage. Well, thank you so much. You learned a lot. You learned a lot during this session, I take it.
Yes, we learned a lot, and most of this happened today. We got to go out with some members from the Audubon Wildlife Service, and we got to learn a lot more about the vernal pools. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day. So my name is Mike from Scituate Community Television, so you're going to get to be on TV at some point in time when he edits it. So your name, your first name?
I'm Celia.
And what school?
Gates.
And your first name?
I'm Bella.
Bella from the Gates School too. And?
I'm Charlotte.
Charlotte from Gates School, and you all have blue ribbons? Right. So tell us a little, who wants to start about your project?
Okay, so here we're going to be putting some raisins into ginger ale and seltzer water.
Okay, so if we put that one in. So you can see that the raisins start to bubble, and when they bubble, they usually tend to float up and then go back down. But since we put these in a while ago, we poured the seltzer water and the ginger ale, it is kind of flat, so the raisins aren't floating and bubbling as much. Yep.
And it usually happens as the smaller ones, they go up more, and like the bigger ones like stay at the bottom because it's smaller. Yep.
So tell me, why would the raisin float? What would be the reason?
So usually the seltzer soda, the raisin kind of absorbs it into the raisin, and as more water comes into the middle of the raisin, it tends to rise.
So is it building up like a gas inside to make it float?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. And what is the other beaker?
That is ginger ale. And
So one of them is ginger ale. That's ginger ale, and this is what?
Seltzer water.
That's seltzer water. Okay. And so, who helped you with the project?
Our science teacher, Mrs. Reed.
Okay. And then the three of you became a team?
Yes.
The team of three. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
We had some help from Casey McKeever and Brooke McCarthy.
Well, you might want to wave to them and say thanks.
Hi.
Thank you. Mike, and your first name?
I'm Connor.
And what school are you from?
I am from Inlay School.
From the Inlay School, and you've got a ribbon?
Yes, I do.
And what does that mean?
That means that the judges came around and liked what I had.
Well, that's excellent. Congratulations. You want to tell us a little bit about your project?
My project is on reusing and extracting greenhouse gases like CO2, and you can reuse them using a filter that will just extract the CO2, which then could be sold and it's a really cool business because it helps the environment and can make a profit.
Okay, and let's read a little bit. We have solutions now, I see. What are the solutions that we have now?
A lot of the main solutions are renewable energy, just like the windmill in Scituate, and solar panels and hydro energy from dams.
That's to reduce gases.
That is to reduce the greenhouse gases.
Okay, well that's great. And why don't you read your thesis to us?
My thesis is that I believe that in the next 10 years, ways to reduce and reuse and extract greenhouse gases will be widely available and able to fight global climate change.
Well, that's it. That's wonderful. I hope all that comes true, maybe even in less than 10 years.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care. Anybody you want to thank?
My mom, my dad, and my teachers, Bruce and Monica.
Okay, well, thank you. They heard you. Take care. Thanks. So my name is Mike, and your first name?
Catherine.
And Catherine, what school are you from?
I'm from the Inlay School.
And that's just up the road here.
Yes, it is.
Okay, you want to tell us a little bit about your project?
Of course. My thesis is I believe that fashion has been affected by the politics of each decade, 1920 to present day in America, as well as the feelings, thoughts, and culture during each of those times.
Wow. I guess you're probably right, but I'd never given it any thought. And what was your conclusion now? Where are we going, I guess is a better question.
Well, personally, everything affects fashion, politics especially. I mean, it would surprise you, but it often happens. And music, I mean, like one example, Elvis Presley. He was called the king and people wanted to look like him. And then TV shows, personally, I want to look like those, when I was younger, I wanted to look like those princesses. And I mean, social media, so many people use it. And it's, for me, I predict that actually fashion is going to end up being eco-fashion, which means reusable fibers and recycled garbage, but cleaned, because our president currently does not believe in global warming, and someone is going to step up and say, we need to start wearing eco-friendly clothes so that we can stop this. And then there's also clothing like electronics that changes your mood, because as inventions are constantly getting better.
Well, it's a lot to think about, that's for sure. But I should save my old clothes because they're going to come back into fashion?
Most likely.
Okay, good. Thank you so much.
Hey, Mike, how about that, huh?
Another year of amazing presentations by the kids.
It's amazing.
And they're really into it. And it's amazing how they take ownership for it and really understand what they're talking about. It was really inspiring again.
And it was great to be in the Gates Middle School this year. The way they had spread it out in the gymnasium, the cafeteria, and the science labs. The role that the teachers were playing in introducing the kids, showing which ones we ought to be talking with. It was really a rewarding experience. I'm glad we did. You know, this is our 6th year for doing this.
It's hard to believe.
Yeah.
Really hard to
really
believe.
Amazing. Yeah, time flies when you're having fun like this.
That's right.
So, well, anyway, this is Mike and Al, Mike Davis and Al Bangert, and we're signing off on the 6th Annual Science Spectacular.
See you for the 7th.
See you for number 7, God willing.